Howdy y'all. This is going to address Stardusk's video on critical mass. I will say that as far as the manosphere is concerned, reaching critical mass will eventually accomplish all manosphere goals. The stated goals of the various parts of the manosphere are, in reverse order of percentage of membership: MGTOW, wanting men to be free to explore life; PUAs, wanting men being free to explore women; MRM, wanting men to be able to attain more equal treatment from the state and from women; and the anti-feminists want the destruction of feminist theory and its harmful effects on the interactions between men and women. Now, how this will happen is that eventually roughly 90% of men will go to some form of manosphere or MGTOW, either to enjoy their lives more, or to obtain a greater sexual success with women, or to avoid the harm a marriage and the state can do to a man's life, or that they are just tired of putting up with women's ever-increasing disgusting behavior. Now, true, because of humans' innate drive to reproduce, this is improbable at first, but grows increasingly likely with other global events. Okay, but at best will take decades. Once critical mass is reached, a cascade of consequences will result. These consequences ultimately make men and women happy, because they will be the very things the manosphere has stated is their desires. Now, because of the conservation of energy, many jobs will be understaffed. This will lead to an increase in pay for these jobs in the short term, but ultimately to the loss of these jobs. Women will tend towards office jobs, and men towards physical jobs. These jobs at the popular level pay roughly the same. True jobs are the populace level. True jobs like fishing, crabbing, gold mining, oil rigging do pay a lot currently. And by the way, a lot of things people have wrong about this. I've known fishermen, crabbers, miners, and especially oil riggers, because I live in Texas. And these men do not spend that money on their family, but rather on their addictions. Moving on. But we do not need to worry about who does them or why, because these jobs will not be around for very long. The oceans have almost been trawled bare, so we actually need these workers to stop working for the good of the planet. The same is true for crabs. Crab species are being over-crabbed. Most of the easy gold has already been mined, and panning for gold is just stupid. Why they show it on TV, I don't know. It's probably because, as I've noticed with other jobs, that when people start telling you to do their job or showing you how awesome their job is when they know that their job is a dying business. As for oil drilling needs to stop for the good of the planet. Right? And the same is true for coal mining. Carbon-based fuels are just stupid. They're just stupid. These activities and others will end on their own. They'll end on their own and have little to do with employment or staffing issues, because they will require too much work and give back too little profit in a few decades. In a few decades, it'll be too much of a pain in the ass. Already, Saudi Arabia sort of tanked Canada by tanking the price of oil by flooding the market again with cheap, sweet crude. This will lead men into other physical jobs like maintenance, sewers, roads, buildings, etc., which will pay roughly the same as the office jobs the women will be occupying. Right? This will be addressing the wage gap issue that women constantly talk about, and the wage gap issue that would have existed from men working in these dying and dangerous fields. The problem here is that there will be a great sucking of males into unemployment for a while. Governments have already been predicting this and have already been talking about this and their solution is a form of conscription. Yeah, for years, they've already been talking about this. They will call it a national service. And the CCC in America has been understaffed for decades. They've had projects that have been needed done for decades. The Civilian Conservation Corps, it's just AmeriCorps. My God, just there's work to be done. If you're employed by the government and you show up to work one day and say, I'm done doing the last project, they will give you a new project. Right? And if they don't have one ready, they'll make one up. If they're paying you, they're paying you. They'll put you to work. Additionally, the military has recruiters. The fact that they have recruiters means that there is a dearth of men in their ranks. These ranks will be filled by conscripted men. Now, worldwide, not only does humanity seem to be trending to negative population growth, which is good, those nations that are not trending to negative population groups or growth are almost all in some form of political turmoil. Thus, we will experience an additional sucking of men into graves. This will reduce the overall population of men and thus make it easier to reach the critical mass for the cascade effect to happen. Now, this leads us to consider women. Many women would not only like to go back to some form of traditionalism because of their female nature and the conservation of energy, but also they would like to interact with men better and not be negatively affected by the minority of women making the majority of women look bad. Most women are painfully aware that they are not that pretty. It is almost a sex-typical neuroses. And thus men avoiding them completely. Men just using them for sex. Men being unwilling to intimately interact with them because of previous women those men had dealt with. Or women just being viewed negatively because they seem similar to a feminist. Women like that. Women want to seek male attention. So they will notice a growing number of men joining the manosphere. And since they know they are around average on the bell curve, like a 4, 5, 6, they know they're average on the bell curve, they will go away from those women on the lower part of the bell curve, the 1, 2s, and 3s. They will go away from them. And also because women gravitate towards pretty women. Women gravitate up. Yeah, the pretty girl in the bar with her ugly friend. Yeah, the pretty girl does not have the fat friend to make herself look prettier. The fat friend is there to get some of the beauty that radiates off the pretty friend. Yeah, beauty radiates, right? It's not women putting themselves next to an ugly person to make themselves look better. It's the ugly person putting themselves next to a pretty person to make the ugly person look better. These normal women will start in greater numbers to vote in manners that are anti-feminist. This will lead politicians to take notice. Because we're not just talking about men here, we're talking about women too. Remember, men want female approval. Women want male attention. Now we have the problem of female nature in transition to men not wanting women. And here is where I will mention the 80-20 split I see in a lot of studies. Now, I mentioned this split before. So, 80% of men are unattractive to women. And in marriages, the wife is the primary breadwinner 80% of the time. This means that currently, only 20% of married men would be what PUAs call alphas. So, women have no problem mate poaching, mate sharing, or even becoming part of a harem. It's important to repeat that. Women have no problem mate poaching, mate sharing, or even becoming part of a harem. So these options, they will take until the percent of men in the manosphere reaches and exceeds 81%. Right? And we start, and at the 81% level of manosphere membership, we start attracting very desirable men. We start getting membership from very desirable men, right? Especially to MGTOW. Like, MGTOW is like the most extreme part of the manosphere. So once the manosphere starts getting members in that 20% that women know about, then we're really starting to kick ass. And this is where I agree in part with the idea of growing MGTOW. Just like in the atheist community, we need to grow and obtain allies. We need to have members that are good PR, right? And this will hasten the growth to critical mass. This should address the vampire human or Elder Scrolls issue, in my opinion. So all this will still take a very long time, and there are other global issues that will ensure that it gets far worse before it gets any better. So in my opinion, I currently like the idea of being mostly a single person in a crowd, mostly an anonymous MGTOW. That's my opinion currently, because remember, it's going to take several decades. Right? And also remember, I have been outed. I know what it's like to be outed as a MGTOW in a small community. I know the effect. The good part is it outs 40% of the women you know as terrible, horrible human beings. That's the good part. Right? But the bad part is that it can have very negative effects on your life. So yeah, I've been outed. So it is hard for me in my daily life. But I get what Stardusk is saying. Stardust may have a different lifestyle, so to speak, than mine. He may be anonymous mostly. As for what the American government and other governments would seriously be able to do to us, that they are not already doing to us, I feel this issue will be addressed by the Cascade effect. In fact, the Cascade effect requires people to take notice. The states will be weakened by other serious global and political issues. Women will no longer be able to use the states instead of men because of those global and political issues. Both the states and women will want to please men, and even the alphas that run the government will realize that 81+% of men cannot be addressed in a manner that is heavy-handed. Otherwise, those men run the risk of being the ones that are severely dealt with. And they do not want to lose their status, wealth, power, women, or even their lives. And so it's important for me at this point to reiterate that the Cascade effect is that it's going to, we want to attract to MGTOW specifically, but the manosphere in general. Because MGTOW is so extreme, as the PUAs refer to as a cult, which I don't understand how that is. The faster we grow, the faster the rest of the manosphere goes. And then we've already seen women being attracted to anti-feminism, men's rights movements. Heck, there's even female PUAs, and there were, for a time, some female MGTOWs. Now there's just MGTOW-friendly females. Yeah, women understand that they've gone too far, as I've said in one of my earliest videos. They understand this. And they understand that the entitlement's not going to last forever. They understand that they're ruining their own children's futures. And statistically speaking, half their children are men. So yeah, they understand that we are all on a bad path. And that the right path is for men to do what women want us to do, which is to go our own way, do our own thing, be leaders. Yeah, but going on. So finally, I would like to point out that deep down inside, a woman does not want to be worshipped as a god. No human wants to believe he or she is the pinnacle of existence. This is why we created the idea of God or gods in the first place. Humans recognize and exploit systems. We notice patterns. And we need to believe that there is an order and meaning to existence, and that some supreme being or supreme purpose is controlling all of it. Otherwise, we are forced to look at ourselves. And this introspection causes fear, because we're staring into the abyss, so to speak. Fear of death. And it is this process that leads to procreation, family, legacy, society, religion, or as we would call it, the Matrix. A system of our own creation and destruction. A system that we maintain. It's women's nature to seek destruction. It is man's nature to seek creation. We are order, they are chaos. Women neglect, while men maintain. All right. Well, you guys have a nice day. And always remember to go your own way. Yours truly, M.